It's the basic premise for this program, Teen Talk, and it's the basic premise for one of the most successful new school programs called peer counseling. And it's the one best reason for calling in teen spokespersons to your classes to talk about their drug or alcohol abuse, their abortion, or their failures. Because no one listens more intently and attentively to a teenager than another teenager. It's magic. It works. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and I wanted to start a peer counseling program at my high school over 30 years ago. But the idea of letting teenagers offer help and encouragement to other teens was still too new. Too new and scary for the authorities to give me approval. Today, peer counseling, one teen listening to another, has taken hold and is being implemented in schools throughout our land, and rightly so. Peer counseling has advantages in so many ways. In encouraging kids to come to school, behave themselves while in school, create better reasons for youngsters to study and improve their grades, and especially in helping curb abuse of drugs. The reason is simple. Kids listen to other kids much more easily than they do to an angry parent or a finger-pointing teacher or a righteous administrator. What is peer counseling? How does it work? How does a person train to become a peer counselor? Let's turn now to today's Teen Talk and help you discover the whys and wherefores of peer counseling. It's a fact that teenagers relate better and listen more attentively to other teens. No one seems to understand and empathize better than one young person for another. It's obvious that there is a need for peer counseling, and that just happens to be our topic today. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk, you're going to meet a group of interesting and interested teens who have been trained to help other teens with their problems. They come from a variety of places, mainly suicide prevention, Teen Line, and a few local schools where peer counseling programs have been implemented as part of the curriculum. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk, and a special welcome to you too, Joan Sturkey, author of Listening with Love, a book that I thoroughly enjoyed. I read it from cover to cover, and it's my life story involved in that, and all about peer counseling. And panel, what I want to ask you today is, what do you think of those who show a need for counseling? Are they showing a sign of, is this a sign of weakness or a sign of strength? What do you think, Tricia?
I don't think it's a sign of weakness at all. I think only the strongest kind of person who has a problem asks for help. When they're weak, they back away, they hide. And it only takes a strong person to ask for help.
How do you feel about this, Joan?
I think that's true. I think that we see students coming to us who really want help, and peer counselors are capable and willing and eager to help.
Well, I know that they're willing and eager, and the question is, how do they get the information or the ability to be able to help? You know, one of the things as a therapist, I am a psychotherapist, and I see people, and I'm always listening for those words, I need help, coming from my patients. Is this some of the things that you're listening for too? Steve, are you listening for that?
Listen for every cry. We're taught in the beginning of peer counseling that what to look for, especially in suicide. What they're really doing, people are looking, and they're really looking for help.
How do you summarize very quickly what you look for, especially from a potential suicide?
Their body language, a lot of what they say, how they say it, what actions they take. What they think is expressed through verbally and also body language.
David, you were doing your counseling at camp, you told me.
Right.
How were the kids coming up to you and saying, I need some help?
Well, actually what happens is the camp is designed where the individuals are put in sort of teams, and straight from the beginning they get together and each do a separate autobiography. And by this time we actually dive down deep, and you create the space for them to tell you everything that's going on in their life, and this is where the problems come out.
How do you create that space at a camp situation?
The main thing is making them feel comfortable. Hopefully the counselors begin the autobiographies by telling them about themselves. And what works really well is when the individuals relate with the counselor. And you feel very comfortable when talking about something that the other person can understand and relate to and sympathize with.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Something we do in the peer counseling classes that helps to open up and start things going is an I feel session where we go around the class and share our I feels. During the week, each of us had a turn.
What are you feeling right now as you're talking to me?
Right now, I'm a bit nervous about being here on the TV show.
Okay, all right. And that's acceptable. That's a normal kind of thing. I'm nervous too, you know. How about you, Tina? What do you listen for the I need helps kind of thing? And
Well, when it comes to I need help, it's a lot to do with what they're thinking at the moment. Oh, I have a problem with my boyfriend, or oh, I have a problem with this. But sometimes that's just to cover up the real problem. And being a peer counselor, you have to learn to deal with the top problems are just the top problems, and you have to get down deep, and that does take a lot of time.
what is the way that you get to do that? How were you trained, for instance, to learn how to perceive those problems that are below the level?
Well, the sponsors of our group, Casey and Dova, they taught a class, leadership training, and that taught us a lot about how to learn about ourselves. And once we learned about ourselves, we could learn to deal with other people.
In my training to become a psychotherapist 20 years ago at USC, I too was experiencing 30 credits of time, 1 year of time to learn all about Joseph Feinstein. And it was a wonderful and scary kind of experience. You're a teen line, Jonah. What kinds of things do they do to help you?
We go through an 11-week training period where we learn to learn a lot about ourselves, first of all, and then we specifically learn how to deal with certain callers. Suicide callers, for instance, we try and see how serious a suicide is it an emergency situation, and then take it from there. And we really learn how to actively listen on the phone, because it's not a one-to-one.
Actively listen?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, not being person to person, there's a lot of signals, body language that is missed over the telephone. So you have to listen that much more carefully to the caller.
Okay. What are you interested in trying to teach these people?
I think I was sitting listening to all the students, and I think what's coming out is that there are various ways that peer counselors are trained, because we've just heard that it can be 11 weeks or someone else may be meeting after school. I taught a class that met on a daily basis, and it was a class like any other class in school, a wood shop or a English class or whatever, and we actually taught all the skills in that class, active listening skills, body language, eye messages, the whole bit. And after they're in the class for a semester, they graduate and they become advanced peer counselors. And then they're in an advanced peer counseling class. So peer counseling is not done just one way. It may be done a number of ways, as we've heard from the students today.
Panel, it seems to me there are as many different kinds of problems as there are teens. What are some of the keys you use to listen and respond effectively? Kathy, let's welcome you to Teen Talk. Tell us, what are some of the keys you use?
Well, what we do, like he said before, is we actively listen, and we let the caller know that we're really listening. No two calls are ever the same, so it's kind of, you just really have to like, and if they tell you something, sort of tell it back to them in a way that they know that you're listening.
In other words, you're on the phone with Teen Line.
Yeah.
You don't see these people in
No,
person.
It's anonymous and confidential, and they'll never see us again, or we won't see them, or not.
Do you miss that eye contact?
No, actually for me, because I'm also a peer counselor at my school, so I know the two sides of it. For me, I think that it's easier over the phone, because you have to listen that much harder, and it forces you to try that much harder. You don't have the body language, but we are trained to hear the tone and voice and what the caller says.
And you respond to that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes, David?
The kind of peer counseling that I'm interested in and active in is a lot of skills are involved, but the main thing is, for any problem, you want the individual to come in touch with their own values. I mean, the way to solve a problem is to figure out the person that you would like to be and can be. And thus you have to look inside yourself and weigh your values, and then answers come out.
Yeah,
through
part of the
that.
way I think of counseling is helping people help themselves. Or the way I often remark about it to many of my clients is that we're in a puzzle. We have a puzzle. You are the puzzle, and there are pieces of you that are missing, that are just not totally understood or too clear. And I'll try and be here and serve as a mirror for you to help you find those missing pieces so that we can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Joan, when you finish up your counseling training, what is it that you want your people to know?
I want them to know that they do not give advice. Peer counselors never give advice. I want them to know that everything is confidential with two exceptions. One, we always report child abuse.
Yeah.
And number two, if there's ever bodily harm, like suicide, of course that will be reported. And I want them to know that oftentimes they must refer on. Peer counselors cannot take care of all the problems, and there are problems that need to be referred on to a professional counselor, and they need to know the resources to refer those on to.
For me too. I'm a marriage, family, child therapist, and I have to know when I can't deal with something that may be beyond my ken, beyond my ability to really be able to handle effectively. We have Steve here, who is one of your proteges,
Yes.
my dear Mr. He.
Yes.
What did you learn? Did you get those messages, Steve?
Yes, I got all those messages and more.
Why?
Thank you,
how did
Steve.
that happen? She'll pay you later, Stephen. But how did those messages come across?
Through paperwork that we did, through many exercises
Yeah.
that we did in class along with the group, and from speakers that would come into the classroom and teach us and talk to us
Who came?
what to look for. We'd have therapists, marriage family counselors, just people who were specialty in certain types of fields that we were learning that day.
You're going to have to
Planned-
invite me. I want to come and see what's going on in that place. Yes, Eric?
We also had like Planned Parenthood and drug abuse counselors, many different sort of people. So,
Uh-huh. And what did you learn from your training, Eric?
I learned that listening to people, just listening to people, we'd be amazed what people will do if they just hear that someone's listening to them. They'll start to solve their own problems themselves.
Did Mr. and Mrs. C listen to you effectively when you were growing up as a boy, little boy?
Sometimes, but often not. Often not. Peer counseling was the one class that I knew at school. Mrs. Sturkey was there, and that class was what I went to school for. I hated school, and she was there for me. And
I
the class
can-
was there for me.
That's neat. That's neat. My mother heard me most of the time. My father was not interested. He was just too concerned with himself. Tricia, did it work for you? Were your parents listening to you when you were a kid, now that you know something about peer counseling?
I grew up troubled. I had a lot of problems. My mother was there for me all the time, though, and she helped me the best that she could. My peer counseling in my school and helping out my friends was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Really?
Because not only did it help me help other people, but it also helped me handle my own problems.
What are some of the signs, taking a cue from what Joan said, what are some of the signs that you use to help you realize your own limitations? Tina, what signs do you use to realize that this is a problem I can't handle?
When you realize that, sometimes they will give you the body language like, I don't care, I don't want to hear you. I've heard straight out, I don't
What
want
do
to
they
talk
do?
to
Push you out of the way or
you. No,
something?
they just say, I don't want to talk to you. I don't need, some people have called me, oh, I don't need a psychologist, I'm not crazy. But that's the way they feel about it. And if that's the way they feel, then they'll deal with the problem the best they can on their own.
And Jonah, what do you sense as you're listening over the phone?
Well, sometimes it gets frustrating because the caller has the right to hang up at any time, and oftentimes you're going through it with the caller and you really like to help them, and so it gets really difficult if they hang up on you or if they're just not interested in what you have to say.
The ultimate in rejection would be if you hang up on the caller.
Yeah, but we don't do
No,
that.
you don't do
No.
that. I wouldn't expect that you would do that. Let me ask you this, panel. Why are so many teens so self-destructive these days? Why are they so willing to call it quits? Kathy?
Because I feel that it gets so hard that they feel that there's no one out there for them. And that's why I think peer counseling is really important, because we're here to tell them that there are people out there, especially peers, who might be able to relate to the things that they're going through, where parents can't, or adults don't see the difficulties that they're going through.
Peer counseling has been known to help reduce truancy, increase grade averages, decrease vandalism, and diminish drug dependency. This is saying a lot for this type of program, and the question is, why isn't there a peer counseling program in every school if it makes such a difference? Joan, why?
I'm happy to say, Joe, that it is spreading. A few years ago, there were just a few classes maybe, but now there are 210 schools in California that have peer counseling.
Beautiful.
And every year it's growing because it does the things that you have just mentioned. Kids are staying in school that would be dropping out if someone would not be reaching out and caring for them. And it helps with the drug problem. We know there's a lot of suicide, and the peer counselors are picking up on those signs when a student starts to give away a favorite possession. They begin to question why. So it works, and the students are capable, and they're wonderful people, and it should be in every school.
I've known that for 32 years of teaching. I've been aware of that. I probably started a peer counseling type of program 20 years ago in my classes. The whole idea of helping students, helping each other, has occurred to me many, many years ago. I'm glad to see that it's finally catching on around. What do you see as the value of what you're doing?
I think it's wonderful. It's unbelievable how many people have gone throughout changes. I've seen them go from the totally black to the totally white. They have, some person that has maybe committed suicide or tried to, has turned around or something like that. You just bring out the beauty in people when you find out that someone cares.
That's a lovely statement. You bring out the beauty in people, and there is a lot of beauty in people to be brought out. Trish, what does it matter to you for this program?
No matter what kind of background a person has, like Tina said, if a person realizes somebody out there cares, whether it's a teacher or another student, they'll try to better themselves to make that friend or that peer counselor look up to them, because when they have someone looking up to them, they look up to themselves.
What is this doing for you guys personally? I mean, you know, within yourselves. David, what has this counseling done for you?
Each time I go through a counseling session at camp, I definitely better myself. It helps me, in helping others, it helps me to better understand myself. And that's what I think it's all about, is coming in touch with that person you want to be and the values that you truly value. And as I go along and help other people, it helps me to just become in touch with myself.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. That's a nice thing. What about you, Kathy? What is this work that you've been looking and doing for the past 2 years now?
2.5.
2.5 years. What has it done for you?
It has made me feel so good. When I talk to someone over the line and it's been a long call or something, and at the end of the call they say thanks. Just that one little word, thanks. I mean, I will never have a feeling like that. It just makes me feel so good, like I really made a difference for someone.
I'll bet you do. I'll bet you really do. I'll bet all of you do, and I'll bet all the peer counselors out there do. Joni, have you seen changes in kids as they've learned peer counseling?
Yes, and the nice thing about it, it does not stop when they graduate from high school. I hear from students who are in college, who are out in the work world, and they go on, they keep the skills that they've learned. And it makes them better people for life. They are better husbands, better wives, because they've learned to listen to each other. They're better employers, employees, because they have learned to listen.
So why don't we spend more time in school teaching that instead of requiring geometry or algebraic equations or all of these other things over and over and over again? Why don't we do that, Jonah?
I guess it's in the system. I mean, someday maybe there will be. I think that those are the important things in life that will really matter.
Eric,
know,
you're 19 now, aren't you?
Yeah.
You've been through school. You dropped out of school, you told me?
No, I left school.
You left school. What does that mean?
That means I didn't drop out, because drop out means falling out of the bottom, and I left school.
Oh,
I went away to college early, actually.
Yeah. And for you, what has all this work been?
It's the one class in high school that was about being human. And so many times in high school and growing up in this world, we're asked to be inhuman. Prepare yourself for a job, study things that aren't important to us. And this is one class about being human.
Incredible. Incredible. I love what you're saying. What are you proudest of as a counselor? What has been your chief bewildering wonderment? David, what have you done?
For me, it's basically helping other people. It's the chills I get from after finishing a camp and seeing a boy, mostly the people that come to the camps didn't really want to be there, and seeing at the end of the camp the difference that it's made for that person. For them to be able to come up to me and say, David, I love you and I couldn't have gone through this without you, is the most amazing feeling that keeps me going. It's an energy boost that lets me go through the year and come back through summers and just carry on my life.
Yeah, I've known that feeling many times myself. We got a lot of parents and grandparents and teachers all out there watching you right now. We got only a minute left. What advice would you give to them about some teens that are in trouble? What would you tell them? Stephen, what would you tell them?
I would say listen as carefully as possible. Be their friend. Don't pressure them, because if they're pressured, they close up and they won't ever open up again. Just to let them know that you are there for them and that you care.
And also, if you need help, to ask for help. Just ask someone to listen to us.
Just reach out. Just hug them, hold them, tell them that you care. Reach out. That's the main thing.
Kathy, what would you say?
Because I think that it's not a sign of weakness. I really sincerely believe that it isn't a sign of weakness. And society might put it down, or maybe that's the idea that people get from society, but I don't agree with it.
A person once said, the prototype of a peer counselor is the ideal friend who not only wants to help you, but also knows how. Listening can be done very naturally by some of us, but it requires skill and training for most of us to be able to use it effectively. The peer counseling program teaches such skills. Those of you interested in the program might suggest it to your school administrator, and you do want to read the book Listening with Love by Joan Sturkey, or you want to write for the Peer Counseling Facilitator Quarterly. That's at P.O. Box 21311, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55421. Joan, thank you so much for being on our show. You were wonderful. You had so much to add. Panel, you were terrific. I really enjoyed your participation. Talk it out, don't act it out was the sage advice given by one of the panelists today. I've been a psychotherapist for over 20 years, and I've seen the pluses of the talking cure so often. Talking is catharsis, a helper in healing the mental and emotional anguish residing within. It seems that as we ventilate our anger, frustration, and feelings, we do tend to feel better. That there are now squads of young people being trained in the art of listening to grapple with the problems of their peers is a wonderful antidote to the problems people face. Theodore Reich, a famous psychiatrist, wrote a book called Listening with the Third Ear. In it, he describes how most of what we hear occurs between the ears. The third ear resides inside the heart. Counselors, social workers, psychologists, and now peer counselors are taught how to listen this way effectively. And you can too. This ability will translate into so many practical areas. At home with your parent or spouse, on the job with your employer or fellow workers, everywhere with your friends and acquaintances. That this art is not taught in schools everywhere remains another mystery to me. May I suggest you read Joan Sturkey's wonderful book called Listening with Love? It's simply marvelous. She tells us so much in this book of a positive, hopeful nature. Dropouts do not drop out of schools where peer counseling exists. Truants return to schools more willingly as they're listened to loudly and clearly. Teachers are happier for they have a wonderful place to send students with problems. And youngsters are happier for they'll find a place to be heard without being judged. Do you want a few more reasons? Then read this book. I'll close with the words of one peer counselor who said, "The prototype of a peer counselor is the ideal friend who not only wants to help you, but also knows how." For Teen Talk, this is Joseph Feinstein saying, we'll see you very soon.